Hi, I want to share something with you that I find exceptionally helpful. And that is I use the reminders app on my iPhone daily to remind me of some emotions that I want to cultivate, which helps me show up in my most creative way. And I thought I would share with you what I have as a reminder and encourage you to maybe try something out too similar. So I have a reminder that comes up Monday through Friday, and they are different and they come up every week, Monday through Friday, and they are reminders to help me to embrace a new emotion and an emotion that will help me be more creative and show up as my best self and as my best artist, and also as my best mother and everything. So I thought I would share them with you now. And the first one is on Monday is courage to tell people that I am an artist. And also I use courage to share my work. So I show up on Instagram and here, like now on my video, and it takes courage for me because as a whole, I am actually a pretty private person and am prone to introversion. However, I have learned that it is through courage of summoning my courage to share my art, to share my creative process. And as I have done that, you know, my creativity grows. And so I wanted to share that with you too, is to embrace courage to share your art, to share your creativity, and just, you know, just show up. And so that's my Monday emotion. On Tuesday, the emotion I have is commitment. I try to remind myself to stay committed, to show up every day and create. And why is it on Tuesday? Because usually on Monday, I do have a motivation because it's after the weekend, but Monday's usually a very hectic day for me and my daughter and just taking care of things. And so I need the reminder to stay committed to showing up every day for my creativity and for my goals. Wednesday is discipline. Discipline to do it even when something else feels more fun. So with creativity, we have a million ideas all the time. And say we make a goal or we make a commitment or we plan on Monday that this week I'm going to complete this painting. You've painted a little bit on Monday and a little bit on Tuesday, but by Wednesday, you're probably in the ugly phase of your painting. And it would be more fun to start something new instead of working through that that challenging part of your painting and move on to completion. I try to cultivate that idea of it's a loving discipline. It's not the self-beating up discipline. And it's the idea that as we commit and we have the discipline to stay committed, as you know, what is it? Chuck Close says that a professional artist shows up every day. Well, that's that discipline. However, what's so wonderful about discipline is as you build discipline, you are actually also building your relationship with yourself. You're building trust with yourself because one of the ways that you can erode your relationship with yourself is by saying you're going to do something and then not doing it. And then in the future, your brain will probably throw up that past time when you were like, well, you said you were going to do this, but you didn't. And by building that trust in yourself, you then also slowly build up that sense of self-confidence, that sense of confidence that you are an artist. You are an artist that shows up and creates. And it's a very, very good, it's a very good emotion to build as long as you build it in a loving way. And so that's emotion for my Wednesday. And then on Thursday, my emotion that I try to to maximize is resilience. And it's the resilience to pick myself up after a crash and burn. So say, for example, let's use the metaphor of a painting again. Monday and Tuesday, we started a painting. Wednesday, it was in the ugly spot, and we did work our way through it. But, when you're at that point in a painting, there's two outcomes. The outcome is one, it could, you work through it and it comes to completion and it's what you want. There is the other example, which happens a lot. You work hard and you work through it, and unfortunately it doesn't work out. And so then you have to scrape it down. And so Thursday is the resilience to pick yourself up and start over again. And I'll tell you a tip that I did. This was a long time ago, like in 2009. I set a goal that I was going to do 100 scrape downs. And so I made, I didn't know it at the time, but essentially I was building my ability for resilience. And I turned it into a game in that my goal for that year was to do 100 scrape downs. And what that meant was that every day every time I painted, I had to do something that I didn't know how to do. And that was a big stretch, or it was a new technique or whatever. And I'll just say, more times than not, it was a failure. But instead of identifying it as a failure, I identified it as a success, because my goal was to get to 100 scrape downs. And I did. I had a piece of paper on my studio wall, and every time I'd scrape down, I'd put a hatch mark down and to get to 100. And it was amazing, because I had the most amazing growth of that in 3 months. In fact, I hit 100 scrape downs in May, but by March, my painting skills had just went through a renaissance. And so that is why it's so wonderful also to build resilience. And so I have a weekly on Thursday reminder to build resilience. And then on Friday is, I want to build the emotion desire to make the hardest skill that I'm working on my most proficient skill. And that could be anything. And in 2020, I got it in my head that I wanted to draw hands. Well, I was working on a painting commission that was of hands, that had hands in it. All three children the hands were a big part of the composition. And I realized, as I was working on that commission, that I felt very uncomfortable drawing and painting hands. So I decided that I was going to make that drawing hands or painting hands one of my big skills. So I made a goal to draw 100 hands, and this, I started it in I can't remember, spring, and I drew 100 hands. And by the end of that exercise, I became very proficient at it, to now where I do not feel intimidated by the idea of drawing hands. Granted, I haven't drawn hands on a regular basis, so when I do get back into it and try to draw hands, it's a little rough when I first start getting into it, and that's where but I have the resilience. It's like, so I'll start over. And I don't feel uncomfortable about that starting over, because I have worked hard at building the emotion of resilience. And so those are my 5 emotions. Monday through Friday, I have these 5 emotions come up. Just as a recap, on Monday, courage, the courage to tell people that I'm an artist and to share my work. Tuesday, commitment to show up every day and create. Wednesday is the discipline to keep going at whatever it is that I've got planned, even when it feels like something else would be more fun. Thursday is resilience, building the ability to pick myself up and start over again. And then Friday is desire, and the desire to make the hardest skill, the hardest thing that I have in my creative process at the moment, and make it one of my most proficient skills. I also turn that desire back on and make it also desire to still cultivate courage, to still cultivate commitment, discipline, and resilience as well. So those are the 5 emotions that I work on and strive to improve every day, every week. And I hope that you go out and you set some reminders that are not task oriented, but are reminders to help you be that better artist that you can be, that I know that you can be. So go out and create and have a wonderful day. Thank you so much.